Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Pet Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Roberta Westbrook, and thank you for joining us today at the Campus for All Animals, the Houston SPCA. So by now, you guys have got to have full bellies, and you're probably on your couch and comfortable after a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving with friends and family. And now that Thanksgiving has passed, you may be thinking about how to look for signs in your pet that maybe they got ill over the Thanksgiving holiday. You know, when Thanksgiving happens and we have lots of family and friends over and lots of good food, those are times where we tend to see as veterinarians increases in animal sickness. And that's because we try to extend the love to our pets by feeding them the same delicious meals that we're eating. And oftentimes that winds up leading to some illness in our pets. So I want to give you some tips to look for over the next couple days, after that big holiday, so that you can look at your pets and hopefully catch any illness that might be popping up in case they got into something that they shouldn't have eaten over the Thanksgiving holiday. So if you have questions regarding Thanksgiving and the upcoming holidays and how to keep your pets safe, please go ahead and mention those questions in the chat. Hopefully I can give you some helpful tips today. In the meantime, I do want to introduce you to our pet of the week. Our pet of the week today is Olly. Olly is a wonderful, wonderful boy. He's about a 6-year-old neutered male lab mix, and he's looking for his new home. So Olly came in with his housemate, Benny. So Olly and Vinny are both here at the Houston SPCA looking for their homes. Their family had to relocate, and in that relocation process, they were unable to take Olly and Vinny with them. So we want to introduce you to Olly because Olly will make a wonderful family pet. He's such a sweet boy. So please come on down and visit with him. He knows how to sit. He knows how to shake. He's very well behaved on the leash. Really, really good dog. So come on down, take a look at Olly and visit with all of our dogs and cats and puppies and kittens and rabbits that we have available for adoption. Olly is playful. He gets along with other dogs. He's not too hyper. And so a really good, great family pet. In addition, Olly's adoption fee is covered. Thank you so much to Houston Texans punter Cameron Johnston and his wife Tia. Thank you all for sponsoring Olly's adoption fee. So he's ready to go. So please come on down and visit us. There's no appointment necessary. We are open from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. So hopefully we will see you all soon. So again, let's start talking about, Thanksgiving has passed and we're not done with the holiday season. This is a wonderful time of year for a lot of people. And it's a wonderful time to have family, friends over, a lot of gathering, a lot of good food. But during this time, we absolutely want to make sure that we keep our pets safe. So one of the most common hazards that we find around holidays is food. What kinds of food are we going to be able to feed our pets during this time? What's safe? What isn't? And how do we recognize if our pets are getting sick? So what questions can I help you with to start?
All right, my pet got into some trash after the Thanksgiving meal. What are some signs to look for that they had something they shouldn't?
Yeah, so, let's start with your pet getting into the trash because this is an important thing too. When you're having a lot of people over, you're having large meals, it is critical that you dispose of your trash appropriately. Oftentimes we have small trash bins, and if you have a lot of family over, that trash can fill up pretty quickly and it's overflowing. And when it's overflowing, it's easier for your dog to just grab a little bit off the edges, particularly if people didn't eat all of the food on the plate, then there may be more food left and it's right at face level for some dogs to be able to jump up and get those, those plates that are overflowing. So please make sure you dispose of your trash well. Push it down into the bin, double bag it if you need to, make it difficult, put a lid on the trash can, make it hard for your pets to get to. You don't want them to get into the trash. Now, if that's already happened, maybe you came home and you realize that there's trash all over your home because your dog has gotten into the trash. That's happened to us yes. all. So, what are you going to be looking for? Well, again, the most obvious thing that you're going to be looking for is signs of stomach upset. And usually in our dogs and even cats, that's going to present as vomiting and or diarrhea. Sometimes even lethargy because now they have an upset stomach, so they're not going to feel very well. But certainly vomiting and diarrhea. You may even notice that they lose their appetite because now they've taken in all this food and it can be upsetting their stomach. They don't want to eat their normal diet, their normal dog or cat food that you would be feeding them. So those would be some clues that you need to pay attention and maybe even make a trip to your veterinarian's office.
And we have a lot of leftover, bones. Can they have any type of bones whatsoever?
Bones are very controversial and can be dangerous. So the thing about bones is that when you cook them, they become softer, and softer bones splinter more easily. So as your dog chews them, they splinter, and when your dog or even cat swallows those bones, they can pose a risk of penetrating the gastrointestinal tract. So that means when you have these sharp pieces of bone that your pet has swallowed, those sharp pieces of bone can work their way into the lining of the stomach and the intestines, even work their way out. So in worst case scenarios, sometimes those bones can cause a penetrating injury in the gastrointestinal tract, and that could be life-threatening. So, bones are not recommended. Certainly there are some animals that eat bones and they don't have a problem, but it's not recommended to do because the risk is very high for not only penetration of those sharp bones, but also just causing an obstruction. So when they're eating these large pieces of bone, these solid pieces of bone, it certainly takes a longer time to digest. And sometimes depending on the size of the bone, it doesn't pass through the gastrointestinal tract easily, and it can cause an obstruction. An obstruction means that now normal food is not able to pass, and it's not able to go through the intestines and out through the rectum and defecate. How would you know if your dog has an obstruction or your cat has an obstruction? Again, usually they are not wanting to eat, or they might be vomiting, or they're very lethargic, because this is a very painful condition, and the ingesta is not moving through. So if you're noticing this in your pets, certainly get them to a veterinarian right away so that we can make sure that they don't have an obstruction, which could require surgery to correct.
And it's expensive surgery too.
Yeah,
So yes.
Very expensive surgery. So we want to prevent it if at all possible.
If we do notice that the pet is developing some upset stomach, is there anything we can do at home? Some chicken and rice, or what are the signs to know? Okay, it's time to go to the vet versus let's pass. Because for us, for humans, 1 or 2 days of upset stomach, and then we feel a little bit better if we eat something we shouldn't. Is that the same for dogs?
Sure. That's a hard question, because sometimes animals do have just sort of an upset stomach, and they tend to get better in 24 to 48 hours, and it's not a problem. But sometimes those exact same signs, the lethargy, the not eating, that could actually be a more serious condition. And the problem with pets is that we can't talk to them. So when it's humans, we know, right? We can self-regulate, and we know, man, I ate something bad, but I feel like it's just going to pass, and we can sort of understand what's happening with our bodies. But with our dogs and cats, we're not able to communicate with them as well. And so all we see is the outward sign of them feeling lethargic, not wanting to eat. And in our pets, those could mean a wide variety of things. Sometimes it's very mild, sometimes it's very serious. I would rather that we err on the side of caution and think that it might be more serious and contact your veterinarian sooner rather than later. I would stop yourself from wanting to treat your pets at home. And the reason is you don't exactly know what's happening on the inside. And so when you try to medicate them without knowing, sometimes it could do no more harm than good. If we're giving them pain medication or medication that we would typically take ourselves, that may not be appropriate for your pets. A lot of times medications is also dependent on the weight of the animal, and there's a calculation involved. So if you're just guessing how much you should be giving to your animal, that could be dangerous as well. So please, I would encourage you, if you're concerned at all about your pet, please contact your family veterinarian and see if they can get you in for an exam. It's better to be safe than sorry.
And what are some of the most common obstructions we see or you guys see at the veterinarian office, especially during holidays?
Yes, during the holidays, again, one of the main things is just bones. It's, large bones that animals have gotten into from the trash or were fed willingly, and now it's not able to pass through the stomach or the intestine, and so it gets caught there. Sometimes there's another thing that happens with decorations. So when you have things around your home, pine cones or tinsel, string, those sorts of things, cats love string, those can cause obstructions as well. So if you're noticing, again, your pet lethargic, not eating, vomiting, these could be signs that your pet has an obstruction, we want to make sure that we find that sooner rather than later, so that we get taken care of.
And corn on the cobs, I've heard that's pretty
Oh
common
yeah,
too.
absolutely. So yeah, if you're eating corn and you have corn on the cob, then those cobs are not going to be digested. I have myself taken out several corn cobs from pets from the gastrointestinal tract. It gets caught there. It's not going to be able to pass on its own. So please try to keep your pets away from those corn cobs.
All right, you mentioned holiday decor. You know, it's time to put up that Christmas tree if we haven't already. What other, safety tips can you talk about regarding the holidays?
Yes, we're always putting up decorations. I think, it's more common in my experience that cats tend to like to get into the decorations. They love the swinging balls, the tinsel, the string. Cats love that sort of thing to kind of play around with. And so if you're decorating your home, please make sure that you're watching your pets and your cats especially, and making sure that they are staying away from those things, because they can certainly cause foreign bodies as well, or obstructions as well if they ingest those things. So it's about knowing your pet too. Not every pet is the type to chew on things, on inappropriate things and ingest things. But if you know your pet well, you can take the proper precautions. So that might mean that you put your Christmas tree, or you put your decorations in an area that your pets can't get to them, or that you put some sort of protective covering around them, that you isolate your pet for a period of time when you're not there to watch them. So this could mean, if you're going to work for the day and you've got cats, maybe, and your cats are going to be wanting to get it to the Christmas tree, maybe putting your cats in a bedroom or a bathroom while you're away so that you can make sure that they're not getting into anything. Those might be options. I know we don't like to isolate our pets, but we do want to make sure that we're keeping them safe. So those are some options.
Or maybe isolate the tree and put a pen around the tree.
You can put something around the tree as well. You can put a little gate around their cats. They can try to get their way through anything. But yes, if you can find a creative way to cover your tree so the cats can't get to it, that's always an option.
And with Christmas trees, if we're going the natural route, is there anything specific we have to keep in mind with watering? Is that something that dogs can get sick from? Or I know some people, add preservatives to it to keep the tree, lasting longer.
Yeah, you want to just make sure that your pets stay away from the water for your tree. One, it can have like the needles, the pine needles in the water, and sometimes your pets can ingest those. Those can be dangerous as well. They're sharp, and same thing, they can cause foreign bodies as well if they are ingesting those pine needles. But also if you're putting any sort of nutrients, plant nutrition in the water for the tree, you don't want your pets ingesting that. So make sure that they have plenty of fresh water available for them, and that they're not going to be wanting to get to the water in the tree. This might be a good way to protect that, is to put a little gate around the bottom of the tree so that your pets can't get in there and start drinking that water.
And with the holiday season, we're going to see more of those red, beautiful poinsettias. Is that just dangerous to dogs or cats, or how is it dangerous to pets?
Yeah, so those holiday plants like poinsettias can absolutely be toxic. So you want to make sure that you keep those away from your pets. Not only can they cause ulceration and gastrointestinal upset, but these things can, in some cases, lead to organ failure. So make sure that you're keeping your pets away from poinsettias. Again, this is more common with cats. Dogs are not typically going to be, eating your plants too often, but this definitely does occur in cats. The lilies, the poinsettias, we do see our cats wanting to eat those plants. So keep them away from your cats, or don't have them in your home at all. You can buy some fake ones. They'll be just as beautiful and certainly not toxic.
And probably last longer than in my house.
Yeah, last longer and definitely safer.
All right, we're making plans for the holidays. We think a family's going to come over. What are some safety tips when our family also has pets?
Yeah, so if you are, having company and your company wants to bring their family pets as well, it sounds like a wonderful time, and hopefully it will be. Again, it's about knowing your pet, knowing your family's pet, and making sure that they get along. And even if they don't get along, that you have precautions, that you've taken the proper precautions to keep everyone safe. And that might mean making sure that you have available crates so that your pets can have their own private space where they feel comfortable, and that we can prevent any negative interactions from other pets. So if you're traveling with your pets this holiday season, you're going to a family member's house where they have pets, talk about it. Talk about past history. Does your pet get along with other dogs? Does your pet get along with other cats, children? What do you need to be prepared for? A lot of it can be avoided just by proper communication. So make sure that you have an appropriately sized crate for your pet. Your crate should be tall enough for your pet to stand up in, lie down, and turn around. You also want the crate to be big enough to have a food and water bowl and a bed and a toy, because that can make the environment much more comfortable, and they're more likely to have a peaceful time in their crate if they have those things that make them comfortable, as opposed to just putting them in a crate for the first time when you're traveling.
And any safety ways we can introduce, the pets together?
Sure. If this is the first time, you can just keep them under watchful eyes. So you don't want to just walk into someone's home not knowing, and all the dogs are off leash, and you just sort of see what happens. It's a good idea if both pet owners have their pets on leash, let the dogs be introduced. If you can do this on neutral territory, that would be even better. So, sometimes the pet that lives in the home could potentially be territorial. And so when new animals come in, there certainly could be some negative interaction that happens there. But you could start by letting them be introduced outside or on a walk, and let your dogs get to know each other on neutral territory. That way, when both dogs come inside the home, it may be less likely that negative interactions happen. But keeping them under your watchful eye and on a leash would probably be the best thing to do to keep them safe.
And let's say it's best for everybody if we travel without the pets. What are some options that we can do so that obviously we don't leave the pets alone for the next few days?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you opt not to travel with your pets, that is okay too. And so you can consider finding in-home pet sitters. So that could be a friend, a family, or even a professional pet sitter who comes to your home in the comfort of your home with your pet, able to stay in their normal environment. And a pet sitter can come to your pet and take care of your dogs or your cats or your fish even every day. And they certainly will charge a fee for that, and just depends on the professional pet sitter. But that's always an option. And oftentimes pet sitters will take your dogs on walks and stay and play with them. So you can certainly choose the level of interaction that you want your pet sitter to have. You can also contact a local boarding facility. So sometimes you may want your pet to go to a facility where maybe they can go to daycare, play with other dogs, or if it's a cat, interact with other cats. You may want them to be in a boarding facility so that someone is there to watch them at all times. That way, sometimes even you can have a camera. There's a camera in some of the boarding facilities that you can log in and see how your pet is doing. So those are options if you're not going to be traveling with your pet. There's always ways to keep them safe.
If we do choose boarding the pets, is there any specific vaccinations that we need to already make an appointment for so that they can be accepted?
Yeah, so you always want to make sure that your vaccinations are current. Every boarding facility might have a slightly different recommendation on the vaccines that your pet must have. But the core vaccines, the ones that every pet must have, for dogs are going to need to be current on their rabies vaccine. That's the law. And it's a public health concern, so always make sure that your dog is current on rabies vaccine. The second vaccine that's considered a core vaccine that all dogs should have and stay current on is called the distemper parvo vaccine. You could hear it be termed the 5-way vaccine. Some people call it a distemper parvo vaccine. Some people may also call it a DAPP or a DAPPV. There's a couple different terminology uses for that particular vaccine, but rabies and the DAPP vaccine are core. In addition, there's a vaccine to prevent kennel cough. When your dog is going to a boarding facility and he or she is in contact with lots of other dogs, we want to try to prevent as much as possible the development of kennel cough, which is like a cold that they get from being in areas with other animals. So that vaccine is called a Bordetella vaccine, and sometimes it has Bordetella and adenovirus, but those are the vaccines that are most necessary. But please talk to your veterinarian, because some boarding facilities are now requiring the canine influenza vaccine. Canine influenza is a virus that causes respiratory disease in dogs that is starting to pop up more around the country, and so that could be a recommended or required vaccine for some boarding facilities as well. So contact your boarding facility, ask them what the requirements are, and make sure you get your appointment in as soon as possible so that there's no rush.
And then I know some people with cats, if they're gone for like 2, 3 days, sometimes they just free feed because they don't need to be taken out on walks. Is that a good thing? Or, they don't need as much interaction as dogs, but why is it not a good thing to just leave the cat to free feed?
Yeah, that's a hard thing. Cats are very independent. We think of them as very independent. They come greet us whenever they want to, and they sort of eat whenever they want to, drink whenever they want to. We're not typically taking our cats out on regular walks, and so certainly it is not uncommon for people to leave their cats at home for 24 or 48 hours with a free feeder and maybe a water fountain. What this does is it allows the food to come down and to be present for your cat whenever they sort of ask for it, and there's water available. There's some risks associated with this. In some cases, it may be fine, but there is a risk associated with it because you just don't know what's going to happen at your home when you're away. And when you're away and you're not able to see, you don't want to put your pets at risk where something could be going wrong. They could be getting sick. They could get ill. They could get injured, and then you don't know. And now you're away on vacation, you come back and you realize that your pet is in a dire situation, and it could be a situation that could be irreversible. So it's something to consider that, it can be very risky to leave your pet at home without any watchful eye while you're on vacation. So, not recommended. If you can find someone to at least come check on your pets once or twice a day, that would be ideal. Just have them check in on your cat, make sure they're doing well. Get a camera as well. That could help you check in on your pets as well while you're out. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Listen, I want to bring to your attention that today is a very, very special day because we are doing a kickoff of our adoption event at Neiman Marcus. So every year during this time, we bring the Houston SPCA to Neiman Marcus, and we adopt out wonderful puppies and kittens and dogs from Neiman Marcus in the Galleria. And so please stop by today and all this weekend for your chance to take a wonderful puppy or kitten home with you. We're having a wonderful adoption event. So please come on by and see us off campus at Neiman Marcus. And then stop by our center. If you want to still stop by the Houston SPCA's Adoption Center, we're still here every day for you from 11 to 6. But thank you to Neiman Marcus for being partners with us for so many years. We're excited about this upcoming month. So happy holidays. We hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Please look out for your pets this weekend. Make sure they stay healthy, and let's have wonderful holidays. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week on the Pet Podcast.